Your mom's here.
Oh,
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. This is GTS. Just thank you for tuning in. We have Child of Mecha here. So honored.
hey, hey,
Thank you for coming, brother. Go ahead, introduce yourself,
absolutely.
please.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tim, the one and only child of Mecha. What's going on? How are you? Good to be here.
Oh man,
Yeah,
you hear that voice real quick. You know, you hear how strong he is and how
exactly.
confident he is in front of the camera. So yeah, guys,
Exactly.
if you guys didn't notice, we have Child of Mecha on the show, and we are very excited for this episode of GTS. This is a very this is a milestone for us. Like all of them are milestones, but Child of Mecha, I think, for all of us on the panel, has been or is one of our favorite builders over here on the West. I mean, he is top notch.
I haven't
So we are
decided if
very
you're, if
happy
you're
to
my
have you here,
Kobe
man.
or if you're my Jordan
Oh,
yet.
dude, I
I'm still
appreciate it.
picking.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're my Kobe
yeah.
or my Jordan. I'm still deciding.
Oh man, I gotta be Jordan, man. Come on, I'm old school. Let's go.
Boom.
Chicago boys.
You're East Coast and
Right?
you're East
Number
Coast too. You
23.
got it. Yeah, you got it. Boom.
Chicago.
You're my Jordan.
All right. So, anyway, guys, welcome back. As always, this is Master Grade Jest right here with my boys, Chris Gunpla. He's over there. And then we got Justin. Everybody, I mean, he never needs any introduction. It's Justin, Studio
Oh,
G. Right.
50K
We got him
dude.
right here in the house. Hashtag, what was it? Hashtag 50K subs? What was it?
hashtag Studio G50K.
Yeah, there it is.
Studio
Hashtag.
G50K.
You know,
I don't know why. I don't know why.
He's
I don't know
blushing.
why suddenly I'm acting all shy and all that. I don't know why. I'm
Yeah,
just
why are
looking
you
out like
being shy?
that.
It's because of Tim.
Tim, man.
Yeah, man.
The
Man.
boss.
Yeah, man. You know, like when a little girl like meets his K-pop idol or something like that.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like standing next to him, taking
Oh, so
picture
now you're
like that.
comparing me to a K-pop idol? Come on, man.
Man,
Man, you should be harder, man.
Killing me
They
right
love
now.
K-pop, bro. They love K-pop over there.
Oh man.
Well, you know what? On my part, I was gonna say like right after Tim just now, I was gonna say like he said that he's the only child of makeup, right? And then I was gonna say I was gonna chip in. I was gonna be like I'd be rude and say something like I'll try to get adopted, but no, Mecha doesn't want me as a child. So
No,
he's the only one.
Nice.
So guys, like we said, it's gonna be a fun episode today. We do have a couple announcements before special announcement, I guess. So basically, what happened this week is we decided to come up with our own Discord server, Gunpla Talk Show server. The link will be in the description, right? We will make a post about it on Instagram. We're really excited. We already got some people in there. We got Tim in there. We have Nicholas Tejada in there. We have Gandarmer Pad in there. We have all these guests on there and some viewers. So go in there, check the description, copy it and paste it because apparently we can't put links yet. But just copy and paste it into your browser, and you'll be able to go right into our Discord server. So we'll be waiting for you there. And along with other news, I guess there really isn't any other news. Go check out Studio G's new videos, and that's about it. And we're gonna start talking to our guest, Child of Mecha. Man, I am so hyped. So, Child of Mecha, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. You can just call me Tim. That's cool.
No, yeah, we're gonna call you Tim. We're just kind of.
Nah, man, call him Child of Mecha. It sounds cooler.
It feels so weird just being called like Child of Mega, right? Like everybody just calls me Tim, but no, it's cool.
No, that's okay, Tim. All right, so Tim,
Doing good.
how are you,
Yeah.
man?
Doing good, man.
Dude,
How
you're
are
not
you?
making this any better, bro.
No, we're doing well. We're excited. And Tim, if you guys didn't know, Tim was on stream on his YouTube channel earlier. This guy's a monster. He was streaming. What you're streaming right now earlier. He's
Yeah.
on with us right now, and then he's gonna be on his show. What is it, Mechanism?
Mechanism, yes, at 10.
Yeah, so after you guys, if you guys want to keep listening to people talk about Gunpla and just having fun, go over there with him. He'll be
They have
you
an
know,
after
he's gonna be
party.
having some fun stuff. An after party. I mean, that's what I was listening about. Man, it's gonna be awesome. But anyway, as you guys can see, we have his logo all over here, Child of Mecha, right? That's the last time I'll say it. Okay.
We gotta give you love, man. We're honored to have you, so we gotta give you some love.
Oh man,
Yeah, we really are. So we're gonna start off with the generic questions. Everybody in the chat, we know that we have some. You guys need to know we have some generic questions that we ask all of our guests, right? So the first question for Tim over here is, how did you get started? How did you get started in the whole hobby of model kit building and everything?
so like a lot of people here, like old school folks in the U.S., um, I got started when Wing first debuted on Cartoon Network back in like 2000, 2001. I I mean, I was always into, giant robots. Like Transformers back, in the 80s were my deal. Like I would rush home after elementary school and, plop myself in front of the TV and watch, Generation One, as long as I possibly could. And then, like I said, about 2000, 2001, I'm sitting in my apartment, just channel surfing, and found this weird, robot show, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool, right?
At midnight,
And
right? I think it came on midnight. I think.
no,
Right?
actually, no, this was on a Saturday, like during the day, right? And
okay.
yeah, and they were like playing like a mini marathon, so it probably had been on for a couple weeks, and so I'm sitting there watching it, and like I'm like
Hooked.
just locked into it. I sat there for a good 3-4 hours just watching this little mini marathon, and man, I'm gonna tell you what, like after that first little taste, I was done. Hook, line, and sinker. The Sunrise and Bandai got their hooks into me, and that was it. Yeah, go ahead.
So like a lot of Westerners, you began with Gundam Wing, right? Because that is the most popular Gundam series, and well, it used to be right before Iron-Blooded Orphans, I feel.
Yeah, Toonami
Toonami
was fire back then.
Began with Gundam Wing. I remember watching Gundam Wing. I was younger because I was like 4 years old when it came out, like 1999. Right. But I do remember watching it and this fascination. So it's really cool that you began with Gundam Wing, which is where a lot of people start. So that's really awesome. Yeah. So did that kind of lead on into you trying to build these like models and everything?
Oh, absolutely. So after, like I was gonna say, like right after I sat and watched that first 3-4 hours, didn't see anything else after that. Immediately got on my computer and I was just like, yo, what is this? I need to find out more about what this is. So I just went deep down that rabbit hole, and saw that they were selling kits domestically in like Toys R Us and other kind of toy stores at the time. Yeah. And man, I'm gonna tell you what, I went out like the very next day and bought pretty much whatever I could at the local Toys R Us. Okay. I bought like a 144 V8 and Mercurius. I bought a 1/100 Wing Gundam, and just came back and just started, putting them together and everything. And I was like super raw, just cracking them out of the runners and everything.
Oh man, just like twisting them off.
I mean, I didn't know any better, right? I had never built a model before that in my life, right? So I'm snapping these things together, and I'm like, these are really cool. Yeah. And so I did more research and everything. And then back in the day, like with the forums and stuff, I jumped on, kind of the OG forum, the Gundam.com forum, right? And I think that domain's still owned by a dude. He went by the screen name Amuro. I think he lives like up in Pacific Northwest someplace, either Canada or US or something like that. But he was always like mysterious. I was a regular on their modeling forums, and then GundamShop.com forums back in the day. They're no longer around. None of these places are around anymore. GundamProject.com, all of those. And then I started my own forum on my own website and everything. And that kind of took off. And we just started kind of throwing down, learning from each other, and just kind of finding our way. Discovered Hobby Japans and Dengeki Hobbies and Model Graphics from Japan. Had a subscription to all three of those at one time.
You really went all in.
Oh, dude, I was like I said, they had me hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. I was like, this is my jam. I'm doing this forever.
That you knew.
You really stuck with it.
Yeah, because when you went into the rabbit hole, he never came out. He just stayed in the hole, right?
No, I am the rabbit now. I am the rabbit
here first, guys.
This is my hole. Welcome.
Good. No, that's a great looking hole, man.
Thank you for letting us come in. We appreciate it.
That sounded weird, didn't it?
It sounded really weird when I
that didn't come out.
It sounded really weird. So,
GTS, man.
So you already answered us. What was your first kit and when did you start? I guess the next question would be, who do you look to for inspiration, or who did you look to for inspiration back then and even now, right?
Yeah, yeah, and obviously we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, and so like old school inspiration for me, obviously comes from a lot of the guys that were in Hobby Japan, Dengeki Hobby, Model Graphics, etc. Max Watanabe, obviously he's an absolute legend. One of my favorite modelers and who I've taken a ton of inspiration from for my own style is a gentleman named Motu Asumi. Um, he was big into Hobby Japan, and he did amazing works like the Mad Dog GMs, the Goblin Brothers, Doms, the what is it? The Stormcrow Goofs, the trio there. And if you look these up, I mean, they're just absolutely amazing pieces, and they still even hold up today. And that's where I kind of got a lot of my inspiration from, with strapping technique and all of that good stuff, because he was kind of the originator, at least the first one that I ever saw. Kaita in Hobby Japans and stuff like that. So those were kind of like the big three back in the day that I took a lot of inspiration from.
So these guys must be really good for you to take inspiration from them, because nowadays, like, kind of segueing into a little part question from this is, how does it feel now to be the inspiration for so many people, including everybody here on the panel? Like, how does that make you feel?
It's very surreal. That's a surreal thing. Like when somebody tells me that I inspired them, it's almost like kind of, you don't even really know what to say at that point, right? Other than thank you, and that's very amazing for you to say.
I remember I was like half-assing nubs and shit. Like I was just like straight half-assing, like just not even caring. And I watched one of your streams, and you're like, man, you need to stop cutting corners, or you're saying something about you need to make it perfect. And I was like, damn, I do need to make this perfect. And that's when, like since then, that's all I do now. I have to make everything perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like one of my things is like attention to details, everything.
Yeah, attention to details, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's even the saying, kind of the banner on my website. That's the first thing you see. Attention to detail is everything.
That's like a military thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I just kind of came up with it. Honestly, it might be. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't take credit for any of that, but that's kind of what I live by. Attention to detail, everything. Everything.
Because you're a huge inspiration, and I mean, because even when I began specifically, I remember wanting to take pictures of my Gundam, like everybody, right? Everyone wants to take a picture of their kits, even if they're just plain old snap-on builds. I remember messaging you, and you're like, one of the things that you want to do is you want to get a backdrop.
Yeah.
You just get some in the back. The next day I went out and I just bought some cardboard, like just like poster paper.
Yeah.
And I got it because you messaged me back and told me how to do certain things. And then I'm over here taking pictures with the backdrop and everything. So I think
then I messaged him, hey man, that's a nice picture. Then here we are.
Right?
So it's kind of like, there it is. This is all because Tim and I promise you, like, and I said it before we were talking about it, like you said before the show. If I dig deep enough, I will find the first conversation that I when I messaged you first, and you told me, and you even sent me links to, like, I think it was cameras, because you even told me what cameras maybe I should look into buying.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah,
like that was really awesome, man. Because like for somebody starting out, and even now I'm still starting, it felt really cool to be kind of like this really cool guy who does this amazing work, helping us out and inspiring a new generation of people coming up for Gunpla, right? Because it's a beautiful hobby.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, thank you for that.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And I mean, I've met some of the best friends that I've ever had in this hobby. So I owe a ton to this art form. You know what I mean? So
yeah. That's really awesome. And okay, going into another question, it says, what has been your favorite kit to build up until now before customization? Right, before customization. So, like, which one's your favorite snap-on?
I mean,
it's 20 years ago.
What's that?
That was probably 20 years ago for him.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, for me, no. Actually, it's not. It's actually not.
Oh, really?
So before, just a normal snap. I love. It's a three-way tie. The Jesta, obviously.
Uh-huh.
The Sinanju Stein, is an amazingly engineered kit.
Do you like the Vercal or the narrative better?
No, the Verca.
I only have had the Verca.
Okay.
I have never had the narrative, so I can only say on that. But just the engineering that went into like the elbow articulation and the knee articulation, that for me, just seeing how those parts move and articulate and how the knee separates, it's just an absolute work of art. So I mean, whoever designed that, freaking genius. And then the third one is the GM Sniper 2, because it's kind of in that same vein. Yeah.
Finally, I get to do this as well. I'm done. Because they both did one, right? Like he did the Jesta, and then Chris did the Stein, and I was like, man, I'm gonna be mad now.
Yeah.
And he said the Sniper.
He's in our top 3.
Yeah, I mean those 3 for me are just absolute works of art in terms of engineering,
Dude, I
and
love the
proportion and all of that. It's just they're all 3 of them are just amazing.
Yeah, they're really cool. That's very awesome. All right, so what has been your favorite kit to customize? Now we go from there.
Man, I've obviously the Jesta. Just because it's such a blank canvas and you can do so much with it, right?
Exactly.
But then I also have to give credit to the Sinanju Stein as well, because that's kind of in that same vein. You can do so much with it. You look at somebody, the name escapes me, but there's a Japanese modeler on Twitter who does nothing but he builds nothing but the Sinanju Stein, but he makes different suits out of them. So he's made like the Regazi, and a GM3 and a Masala and all sorts of other stuff with this one suit. And just absolutely out of this world. So that's
crazy.
Particular mobile suit, you can do a lot of things with. So I mean, either one of them, the Jesta you can do a lot with. So those 2 are probably my 2 favorite at this point.
Oh, very cool.
Oh man, I was crossing my finger for nothing.
What's that?
He doesn't like your Sniper.
No, I was crossing. That's why I was like, okay, now's the time for Sniper. And then you didn't mention Sniper.
For customizing.
No, trust me, and I've been customizing a GM Sniper too. Well, as well, I should say. And that right there is really a joy to work on as well. But obviously for me, since I won GBWC with a Jesta and took second place that with a Sinanju Stein base, those 2 have got to be those are my top 2. So
yeah, the Jesta is another monster, man. I love the Jesta. Everybody here knows I love the Jesta. It's one of my babies. But what is the most difficult part of building and customizing a kit for you? It's like, what's the most difficult part?
In the build process alone, for me, it's masking. And the reason why it's hard is because it's just so tedious and I hate it. And you can ask anybody, like I airbrush everything. Like there is no hand painting for me. So even like little itty bitty lights that are like 1 millimeter by 2 millimeter, I will mask that off and airbrush it.
Oh God. Wow.
Yeah, no, there's no hand brushing. There's no hand brushing for me. Just because.
Is there a reason why? Yeah.
Why? The finish. I can never get the finish the same smoothness as I get with my airbrush. So and I don't like how the paints that I use obviously are a Mr. Color and everything, so they're lacquer based, and the paint that you try to brush on top of another layer will reactivate that bottom layer and it'll just mix, and it's just not a good time. So that's why I airbrush just literally everything.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Tim. Those are some great generic questions, and you answered them amazingly well. Now we're gonna jump into some of his. So for you guys who don't know, you guys can visit childofmecha.com. Right. His website is a beauty to behold.
Amazing.
It's amazing. It's so well organized. There's so many pictures and descriptions for everything, like everything you want to know. like he'll have it all written out for you, and you even have tutorials, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
your website is one of a kind. So all of the photos that you guys are going to see, aside from his Instagram, they're all taken with permission from his website. And we're going to start off here on slide number 5, where we will be talking about this build. Is there anything you can tell us about this build specifically?
Oh man. So this is one of the very first models that I actually customized. This is what is this? This is a little gun cannon from the F91 series, right? And so originally this thing is painted well, in Canon it's like a light kind of eggshell green. And I just thought it was just dog ugly. So I just gave it the more traditional paint job. And God, I want to say I did this.
It said 2000 on your website, from what I remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I knew I had it logged on the website. So yeah, that sounds about right. So I mean, you're talking 20 years ago, this thing. And this was, like I said, one of my first customizations. So the cannons on the shoulders, they were too close together, so they wouldn't fold down because of the antennas on his head. These literally could not fold down into position. So of course what I did was I cut them off, widened them, and now they can fold down into perfect position beside the head of the gun cannon.
So from the beginning, you customized your kits. You cut them up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I had to. I mean, I had to have like a one of a kind type of thing. I don't know. It's just me. So but yeah, this was my, I think, my first airbrushing attempt, if I remember correctly. And go ahead.
Like, this is your first?
Now?
Oh, for this?
Wow.
It's a good start, kid.
Wow.
You got a ways to go, though. You know, that's what I would say. That's what I would say to my 20-year younger self. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I'd say you got to do something about those poly caps in the elbows. You got to hide those things because they're not going to hold paint. But I'd say overall, it's definitely a good start. If you look at the back is messy where I did the customization and everything, because I just put epoxy putty over top of it and just kind of smoothed it out so it's more rounded than angular. And I'm not looking back at it now. I thought it was amazing back then, but now it's just like, you could have done better than that.
It looks good to me, bro.
But you gotta be too hard on yourself. That was 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So everybody gotta start somewhere, right? So,
well, and that's the thing. Like 20 years ago, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have these forums that everybody in the world could connect on, right? We had literal forums that you basically had your own little ecosystem of sharing information, and very little information from the East came over to the West. So we were kind of just finding our own way with a lot of things back then. So yeah, it was a bit tough back then. It was a bit tough.
That pioneer spirit.
But also, but also this kind of situation kind of forces you to be just a little bit more creative.
Somewhat, yeah.
It's actually healthy if you have like a really creative brain going on and all that. So whoever taught who taught you how to airbrush and all that, you gotta try it yourself. I mean, one of the problems nowadays is that people are too afraid to start because they've seen so many negatives online. Oh, I broke my shit, I do this, and then I airbrush, I mess it up, it got clogged, I wasted money and all that. And that somehow I felt is like it kind of prevents people from trying to even try, to even experience mistakes so they can learn from them. So that's a really good point that you mentioned out there. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, fear is a very, very real thing in this hobby because you don't want to mess up. You don't want to waste your money, and I get it. But in the same vein, guess what? You're going to mess up. You're going to scrap a few kids along the way. So you might as well just bite the bullet and go hog wild on it. It's one of those rites of passage, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely sounds like so.
Go big or go home, baby. That's it. Go big or go home.
Always.
Right?
It's the American way. That's it.
first light number that you have, I think this is the Zeta plus Scorpion, right?
Ooh, yeah. This was my baby back in the day. The Scorpion. My favorite mobile suit design is the Zeta Plus, believe it or not. And obviously, the master grade is a little bit on the older side, but I still love it. And this was kind of my first foray into customizing a Zeta Plus, and there was an issue of Hobby Graphics right around the time when the C1 came out, and they took they basically commissioned like 5 or 6 different modelers from around Japan, really talented modelers, and they gave them the Zeta Plus to do with as they would. So a lot of what you see here is taken from those kind of taken from those modelers and what they were able to accomplish. Obviously much cleaner and much better than what I pulled off, but this was my first foray into scratch building a weapon. The cannon there is completely scratch built out of styrene, and all that. The head is actually resin cast. This was my first kind of attempt at resin casting. You look at it today, there you can still see bubbles in the surface and everything, which I'm not happy with, but for back then I thought it was amazing. Once this thing is transformed, it's got swept forward wings, which I thought was like the best thing ever. But looking at it now, it definitely shows its age. Trust me, it shows its age. I had an old Alps printer back in the day, an old MD 1300, and I actually, the decals on this were all printed on that.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I was all super proud of that.
How'd you do that?
That's cool.
How'd you do that?
So an old Alps printer it's an old dry ink printer, right? It's like a sublimation printer.
So dry.
No, they're water slides, right? So they use Alps uses a ribbon instead of liquid ink. It uses a dry ribbon, much like the old typewriters back in the day. The little So what happens is there's a heating element, and it heats the ink, and it basically bonds that with the surface of whatever you're printing on. In this case, water slide decals. So that was like the way back in the day to kind of print your own water slides, because they had white ink, they had gold ink, silver ink, all sorts of stuff. And there was a few of us that had MD 1300, MD 1500s back in the day that would kind of trade secrets and be like, hey, how did you get this color to come out so clear, right? I remember one guy, his name was Pete Savin. He and I we were like neck and neck with the printing techniques and everything. And the toughest color to get on those printers was like a 50% gray, because you would either get white pixels and black pixels, and it would just look like garbage,
dots, like dots and stuff.
Yeah. It would be like a duotone, right? So he came up with a way, and it almost looked like a carbon fiber look if you really zoomed in. But that was the closest thing we were able to get to 50% gray on those printers. But yeah, so I printed my own decals for that one and a few of the other ones. But yeah, kind of back in the day, that was my baby. So
I mean, it's still, I think it still holds up for a customized kit, right? I mean, the colors, and I think you did the weathering on the what's it called, on the ankles, right? Like that's where the boosters are, kind of like the burns. Yeah, it looks. I mean, it still looks good. I mean, in my opinion, it still looks good.
It's not bad. It's not bad. No, it's like 15, 20 years old. So I'm like,
it's like I'm starting to see you level every one. So each project you get better and better.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because the way that we organized the photos for the show was, to show the way that that Tim, for you guys out there watching, is the way that Tim has progressively gotten better. Obviously, because like he said, it all comes from experience. You have to go big or go home, right? You got to do it. Sometimes you have to spend money to do whatever you got to do, right? I mean, you're going to
spend money to make money
eventually. Yeah, and that's the way things work, right? Yeah. So we look at this, and then on our next photos that we have over here, we have some pictures of his trophy, right? 2019 GBWC US champion.
Yeah.
Right, making America proud over there. I mean, we got his from those builds, you know, to gain these trophies, and that, I mean, that's not a surprise because, like he said, it's experience,
attention to detail.
And I feel more than experience, I feel it's the drive to get better. Because you could do the same thing over and over again a million times over and keep doing it the same way, but if you don't have the drive to try to improve, like Tim has shown over the years, that's the reason now that he's the person he is. I mean, you get these beautiful these trophies, right? I mean, and the GBWC is not a stranger. You know, on the show, we've talked about it many times over. We've had Nicholas Tejada on here. We've had Ryan Lau on here. I mean, we've talked about it various times. But man, these where do you keep your trophies?
In my cabinet next to my my work desk.
Really?
Yeah, I've got a display cabinet, and they're both in there. The cabinet's disheveled right now. I won't lie to you. It's off in there, so
don't even ask.
it's not fitting of those trophies at this point. Yeah, so
you have them. That's all that matters. They're yours.
Yeah.
So one of the
your eyes only.
Hasaki, I think Hasaki Art. I think that's someone from your stream, because I saw him on your stream earlier.
Andrew,
is asking that how had they never seen these builds before? For you guys out there, you know, you guys can go over to his website again, childofmecha.com.
Yeah.
And you guys can check out all of these builds. All these pictures are on his website, right? Like I said in the beginning, it has descriptions, the dates of when he did it, and talks a little bit. You can find all of this stuff over there, you know. So hi to your normal viewers, because I do recognize some names from the stream earlier where you had the outage.
Yeah. So
the creepy outage.
Hendren, obviously you haven't been to my website, you slacker. Come on, man.
Yeah, man, come on. You get on that, you know? They're over there watching, haven't been to your website. It's all on your website. And we got Gunpla Ronin, which I think is somebody else from your stream. So
yeah.
over there.
What's up, Ronin?
So hi to you guys. Hi to my mom. Hi to Nicholas. Hi to William Williams. Hi to Derek. Everybody, just hi to everybody. But these back to the
Jesta's mom.
Thanks, Tim. So back to these trophies. The trophies are beautiful. We all hope to have one day when we reach that level. And now we're back. Now after these trophies, we have on slide number 15. We get into the really. If I'm not mistaken,
there's like a big jump of skills right there.
Yeah,
that's the hummingbird.
Quantum leap forward.
Yeah, the big boy. So
this travel through time and space.
Yep. Tell me about it. This is the hummingbird. This was the passion project that kind of got me back into the hobby, because I took off. I took a 6-year hiatus from like 07 to 13, like 12 or 13, something like that. And so this is the build that kind of got me back into the game heavily. This is the hummingbird. There is no model of it to speak of. No high grade, no master grade, no nothing. I don't even think there's an SD at this point. Bandai just has like not shown any love to the hummingbird whatsoever.
Unicorn.
Oh yeah, which is a pity, right? Which is a pity. But so this project here took me over 4 years to complete. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 4 years.
Attention to detail.
Yeah. Started actually, if you want to get technical on it, I actually started this back in 07. If you really want to get technical about it.
Before the hiatus.
Yeah, let's get technical, man. Let's get technical.
But honestly, that at that point it was only going to be a Zeta Plus. It wasn't going to be a hummingbird, because I never thought in a million years that I'd be able to pull it off. But when when Bandai made the XS, then I'm like, that's what I need right there. There, it's done. We're doing this. So I had an XS in my backlog. Hit up Facebook on one of the buy-sell groups to see if anybody had any junker kits or just even the boosters. And somebody came through for me. Actually, an old friend. And
shout him out, man. Shout him out.
Oh shit! It's been so long. I don't even remember, honestly, and I feel bad. But yeah. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. He knows who he is.
It was from back in the day. On my forums, right? And he saw that I was back, and I was just like, oh yeah, I got this, yeah. But yeah, so I got 2 junker boosters that I had to clean up extensively, and then the 2 donors from the master grade that I had. So I had the 4 boosters. That was the biggest hurdle. But customizing this thing was just like I said, a labor of love. It was a passion project for me. Every single surface was touched in some way, form, or fashion. Tons of metal details on there, tons of scratch building, tons of option parts and stuff like that. Head to toe, the whole thing is completely customized. The back boosters that are connected to the tail binder, those are scratch built and then duplicated in resin. So those are actually, those are resin cast. I had to scratch build the connection bridge between the smart gun and the C1 shield to get those to mesh up. Highly customized the main, the rifle that he's got there. What else? Used, like I said, I used a ton of option parts and a ton of metal parts. Scratch built the entire lower half of the torso on this because it just didn't exist, and I didn't want to use the stock torso because it just didn't look right.
Okay.
So the fuel tanks at the bottom, those are 3/4 inch PVC pipe.
Awesome.
That I actually scribed with my BMC chisels, which rest in peace, those chisels. They did. Yeah, that 0.5 didn't hold up very well to PVC. I'll tell you that right now. I've replaced that chisel since then, mind you. But yeah, that was kind of a dumb move on my part. But
you just saved a lot of people money. So don't use PVC chisels on pipes.
Don't use PVC, man.
Yeah, kids, don't use your chisels on PVC or acrylic or anything harder than polystyrene or resin or something like that. Just a bad idea in general. Trust me. But yeah, so I've got these huge, like I think the diameter is 21 millimeter, something like that. Thruster bells at the bottom of each of the boosters, and they just weigh this thing down like a lead brick. But they have wonderful detail, and I absolutely love them. There's a bunch of other parts on here that are resin cast. The knee horns, those are scratch built in resin cast. All the details on the boosters, the top ones were padded out around the bottom, but the bottom ones were hugely padded up and armored, detailed, all that stuff, connected with the upper legs and all that. And I didn't even use the native legs for the Zeta Plus. I actually used a master grade ground Gundam upper legs. Yeah. They just look better, more angular and everything. I just like the way they look. And then the entire base is completely scratch built on 2 levels. I've got an acrylic cast upper base that I got from a trophy warehouse, and scratch built, some nice detail bits on top of that. And the bottom base is a core of medium density fiberboard, or MDF, laminated in plastic. All the letters are hand cut out of plastic sheet. Just a ton of detail on there, and it's held in place by standoffs and all that. The whole thing is held up with an aluminum rod going right up between the 2 fuel tanks and everything. Yeah. And it's literally balancing on that one little point there on that rod. And if it wasn't perfectly balanced, this whole thing would just come crashing down.
How heavy is it?
It's pretty heavy. It's
you say metal parts, the PVC, you say all of this.
Yeah.
So, the thrusters are metal parts, right? The thrusters, they're metal parts on the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are heavy.
Would you say this is the most? Would you say this is the most difficult build you've ever done?
By far.
Yeah, because it sounds like it. I mean, I lost you on PVC. You were speaking another language.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah,
Well,
okay.
and the other thing is like to get those to get the fuel tanks to connect properly. I actually had to use threaded inserts.
Oh, okay.
These little metal pieces, and I had to just jam those into the torso connectors, right? And those were I forget what bolt size way they were, but I had to embed a bolt in the fuel tanks, and those just then screw into place. So they're super secure, but they couldn't have been held any other way than that one connection point. So I had to come up with some sort of engineering on that. And then the connection points on the shoulders, those are resin cast. Those are scratch built in resin cast, just duplicates, and that's all that's holding up those shoulder boosters, right? That's just resin. That's it. And those things are heavy. Those things are
they
way,
look
way
heavy.
heavy.
What would you grade? What would you grade the postability on this kit?
Is there anything less than 0?
He can move the right arm like this.
Yeah, no, I mean that's basically it. The arm holding the shield comes down a little bit, and that's pretty much it. No, this thing is a brick. Just because.
How was transporting it over there to Japan?
It wasn't bad. I have it packed in a Pelican case. And every part has its own little sub box. So I've got these little Tupperware like containers from IKEA that I hot glued foam in, and situated each piece inside. So it's actually not that bad. I carried it on the plane over to Japan, and when I went up to New York to Comic-Con that year to display it, and that's the easy part, is just transporting it. Setting it up, this thing takes about half hour, 45 minutes to set up.
Oh god.
That's insane.
Just to set up.
Yeah, just to set up, and then equal amount of time to tear down. So I'm usually the last one in the room. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
so
we could tell.
Yeah. So
we have some questions from the chat. I think it's some of your, for one, I think it's some of your watchers, your normal.
Okay.
Your posse. Your posse.
Gunpla is freedom and stuff. Says Tim, would you tell beginner kit bashers that Gunpla is freedom?
Oh Jesus, no.
I know. I was waiting for that.
Yeah, that's an ongoing.
I was definitely gonna talk about that. Another one ask if you have anything. I think these are still your viewers, because I feel like I'm doing some pro for you. But that's fine. That's fine. Do you have anything that any tools or anything that you brand that you sell specifically?
I mean, not tools, but obviously Mecha decals. Those are my baby. Tool wise, no, nothing in terms of tools. But yeah, Mecha decals, I design myself. We have them printed over in Italy by a company called Cartograph, who's pretty much the best water slide decal printers in the world. They do a lot of OEM stuff for big companies like Tamiya, Hasegawa, Revell, you name it. They print them for the big companies. So that's who prints our decals, and super clear, and we're extremely proud of them. So
wow. So guys, there you heard it. He's got Mecha decals. Go and check him out on his Instagram page. So we'll have links to go buy them. And I mean, that's what he has. And for people asking in the chat, what tools does he use? You guys can always go check out his YouTube channel and his website. I'm pretty sure he has a list of the things he uses. Every time he streams, he has it on his description. Amazon links that he can click, so you guys can check out everything that he uses. I mean, this guy is an open book when it comes to Gunpla. He will, completely tell you what he uses. So go ahead and go give him a subscribe. Go check out his Instagram page. Go check out his main page. Guys, go check out his main page. I'm just gonna just say that again, because it really is just a place full of information. More so than Instagram, more so than YouTube, in the sense that, when he's not live, right? So go check out all of that, and you'll find all of his information. You'll see on our side banner, the little flipping one, the one that changes and everything, where it says Mecha Decal. So you'll be able, everything like that has to do with over here with Tim. So really cool. Anyway, going on to slide 18.
Nico just said he used it on his last build. He used some
What's
of your,
that?
Nico, he said he used some of your decals on his last build in chat.
Yeah, his RX-78. Yeah, they looked really good. He sent me pictures of them.
Yeah,
So
Nico told me that too. I was asking Nico's like, dude, how do you get your decals so good? I'm like, they're from Tim. Like, oh, okay. That got me really interested. That's why I asked you before the show, right? On that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, they're really good.
They're really good. They're amazing.
I gotta try them out myself.
It's all about seeing wholesalers buying them, right? Because for people outside of the U.S., it is difficult to get, right? Because of the shipping costs.
Probably I'll be.
Thanks, COVID.
Probably I'll buy. Probably I'll buy in bulks.
Yeah, just buy
boxes of decals.
Box. Anyway, going back to the builds that you have here.
Yeah, man.
We have slide number 18.
Yes.
What can you tell us about this guy over here?
Oh, this is actually one of my favorite builds. This is my version of the Blue Destiny. And the unique story about this one is that I originally made this back in 2004. And it looks drastically different from what you see right here. This was an original B Club conversion kit for the Blue Destiny that I got back in the day off of Hobbylink Japan. And then it's slapped onto a Master Grade Ground Gundam base. So, back in the day, I completely finished this off. It looked nothing like it does now. Similar colors, but nowhere near the detail. And then several years ago, I'm looking at it on my shelf and everything, and parts have fallen off, and the paint was just like flaking off and everything, and it just looked disheveled. It looked really bad. So what I did was I went ahead and took it apart, stripped it down to bare resin, and just worked on it and just improved it.
What's the best way to do that, to strip it down?
For this was 91% isopropyl alcohol. This was painted in Tamiya paints back originally, and that stripped it right off. And then I forget, I used a lacquer-based primer, and that stripped it right off as well. Now there was definitely some penetration into the resin over that amount of time, but a little sanding and everything, a little wet sanding. It got it nice and clean, and we got the surface really nice and pristine looking. So basically did my magic on this, detailed up this whole thing, and you can see the pictures on the website and everything. There are before and after shots.
Yeah.
So you can kind of compare the two, right? But we, basically just went to town and just, tricked this whole thing out. This actually became one of my favorite
I love
builds.
the chest cannons. I love that. Like, that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Tim, you went to town. You never came back, bro. You never came back.
What did you
never
say?
came back. I mean,
I never
you
came
went
back.
to town, and you went to town with this. You never came back, bro.
Yeah, this is my town. Welcome everybody. This is my town, right? And actually, it's funny because I got. He's actually.
You got him there?
Right here. Yeah, he's actually right here.
GTS exclusive.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm actually building a base right now for him to stand on, because he is the only one. Well, no, I take that back. He's one of two of my builds that does not have a proper base. So
you build a base for all of your builds?
All of the ones that I care about, yeah. So like the 1/100s I care about, So like Hummingbird, obviously, Airdrop, they both obviously have tricked out bases, but the Blue Destiny, and actually Ozzy doesn't have a base yet either. It's like half done right now. So those are the two that I really need to finish bases for. My Gundam version logic that I did, scratch built that little base stand thing. But the little bears that I do, they don't need bases. They're fine without them. They're good. But the Blue Destiny is probably one of my favorite builds because it that before and after is that nice dichotomy of naivete and then expertise after.
Okay. Like a contrast for you where you can compare, right?
Yeah.
Work, right. That's
Oh,
really
it's a huge stark difference, and you can see, oh wow, yeah, that's new, and you can, people can point out, the different details that are new and everything. So, yeah, that's kind of probably why I like it so much.
So you were talking about before the show, guys, because normally when we have a guest on the show, we have him on before the show so we can talk about certain things. You mentioned someone that you consider the best panel liner, like the scriber, right, in the
Yes,
world.
yes.
But
Shout him out.
My friend, yeah, my friend Josh Dara. A lot of people know Josh. He was 2015 Australia champion with his unpainted Sinanju. Modified everything. It was completely unpainted. Bare. He went to GWC with a bare plastic kit, guys. That's how amazing this thing was.
That's
how good he
insane.
was.
Yeah.
It is. Because the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm looking at your scribing, especially on the hummingbird and on this guy,
Yeah.
and it's like, God,
Yeah.
that is
very,
that's some
very,
beautiful scribing.
I mean, personally, I felt like it's really, it kind of like, it kind of reminds me of Studio Rigito.
Yeah.
A little bit on the details part, on where you like to have panel lines and then you have something across it, across it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Just those little pieces of plastic. Those are like latches.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love those little details.
No, I mean that's like a signature already. I mean, Studio Rigito would literally scribe the latches out.
Yeah.
You would put something over it, right?
Right.
So yeah, man, that's really, really good. I mean, I wasn't talking, not because I'm shy or anything, just because that this is my first time. Because Chris and Jess were the one doing the pictures while I was doing my videos.
Right.
And then this is literally the first time together with the live audience. Oh fuck, man. Sorry for that. Nice. But literally, this is the first time I'm looking at this, and you're getting like a real genuine reaction from me. Like I'm such an
real-time reaction here, folks.
Exactly. I really, really don't know what to say.
I apologize for him.
What the?
Justin. I mean, you guys know Justin has his own YouTube video, YouTube site. So yesterday he had to edit his video to put it out, right? He was working. He works really hard for his passion, and so we were like, you know what, dude, go do your stuff. Let us handle everything, and we're very thankful. But yeah, I mean, for anybody who looks at this for the first time, it's amazing. And even now, looking at it again and just looking, because there's a certain kind of a appreciation that somebody has with work when you really take a moment and you step back and you look at all of these details, especially the scribing. And if for those who haven't done scribing or who have started scribing, how difficult
scary
it is. It is very scary. It is very difficult. And when you look at something like this kind of work, and you hear him say, I stripped it down. I wanted to look at something like the way that I did it before and how I got better. This is top. This is GBWC level of work, right? So props to you. I mean, I'm sure you don't need anybody else to say how good you are. This is amazing, man. All right.
I mean, there's a lot. No,
take your pants off, bro. No.
Yeah, right.
Seriously. So this is gonna be our thing now, right?
No, it's your thing, bro. It's your thing.
I would love to do that, bro.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
We like to have fun. We like to have fun with our guests and everything. So anyway, for slide number 24. Now, out of all of them, obviously, I love all of your builds. I love everything you do. But for number 24, starting from number 24 and onward, I really love the weathering on this. I am in love with the weathering. I told Chris yesterday when we were putting the pictures up, I'm like, holy man, look at this weathering. And before we jump all the way down to slide number 29, which is my favorite part of your weathering, is what I want to ask you on this is, what is your philosophy when you do weathering? What is your philosophy?
Oh man,
spill it, bro. Spill it.
I'll be the first one to admit I am not good at weathering. I do not claim to be any good at it. This right here, what you're seeing, is the Ozymandias. This was my first attempt at paint chipping, and admittedly, I think it's a bit too heavy looking at it in retrospect. But what I wanted it to look like, basically like it had been through hell and back, right? So that was kind of my, inspiration in terms of the chipping and everything. But yeah, I think it's a little too uniform across the build, and it's not exactly great. It's more freckled than
Yeah, it
logical.
looks freckled. It feels like it got hit by like I don't know, comet
It's seen
dust
some
or whatever
shit.
you want to talk
Yeah, yeah,
about. But
yeah.
I wanna focus, if you can, Chris, on slide number 29. I think you're already there, but slide 29 is my favorite picture that you took of this, because the way that you chipped and the way that it goes into the piston that you have inside, right
Yeah.
there, and the foot, this is realistic, right? Aside from the freckles that you talk, that it's uniform, which is a little bit unrealistic when it comes to doing all of the weathering. This right here looks like really good weathering for a foot and for like an ankle sleeve and everything. That's where most of it would be tattered and all of that. So how did you go about doing this? Like, what was your method?
I mean, you got to think logically. These things are like, what, 40 feet tall, 18 meters, 20 meters sometimes, sometimes even bigger than that. So, when these things are walking around, wherever they may be, whatever theater that they're in, the lower extremities are obviously going to see more wear and tear than the upper extremities. Now, what a lot of people think just based on the color scheme is that this was more of a desert type of mobile suit, where it wasn't. I didn't even have that in mind when I painted this thing. I foresaw this more as a space based mobile suit. That's why it's got the big boosters on the back and everything, and kind of high mobility. But you know what's the name, Kawaguchi, always likes to bust on people's weathering and everything. And his big thing is that, hey, it's got a scale, right? The toes and the bottoms of the feet and the sides of the feet and the heels are going to see a lot more chipping and a lot more damage than, say, the head or the shoulders or something like that. They're basically going to be pristine, unless they've gotten into a fist fight with another mobile suit, right? So, you have to respect that type of real world logic when you do something like this. And like I said, I am not good at weathering. Nico and Gundam Taz on Instagram, and Wilson Alanea, on Facebook. Those guys are the guys that I look up to when it comes to weathering, because those three are like the cream of the crop. When it comes to real world weathering, right? I can't hold a candle to any one of them in terms of that particular skill set. I'm still kind of learning my way through it. And truth be told, I really don't like a fully, heavily weathered type of kit. This one, I kind of wanted to step outside my wheelhouse a bit and try something new for GBWC. This was 2017. And I think I went a little understated on this one, because it took second place in the U.S. and the first place was very well done, but it was way overboard in terms of kind of presentation and glitz and glamour and stuff like that. So I was a little disappointed in retrospect of what I did, but that's the learning process, right? So I think the Aussie is still one of my favorite builds, and it's a very polarizing build, especially because of the design of the head. You either love it or you hate it. I personally love it.
I love it.
That's just me.
I tried to shy. That's why I like the for you guys on the audience who don't know, we had a special episode where it was just us three, and we talked about the gym models, the GMs. That's why I love the GM so much, is the different heads that they have. Like the Jesta, it has a completely different helmet compared to the normal Gundam with the V fin. Sometimes I get tired of seeing the V fin. I get tired of it, and getting some kind of like different like for the Aussie, it's amazing. And by the way, if I were to ever see this in person, I would go right to that leg and I'd try to take that piston, because that piston, I promise you, and Chris can vouch for me. I was like, man, look at that piston. I wouldn't shut up about the piston, man. Yeah. It's amazing. So really great work. Now, now we go on to slide 30, which is, I mean, in my opinion, I love all your work.
Yeah.
For me, your Airdrop Jesta is my. I've always been in love with this. So you don't understand.
I look at it and just go, how, like just
It
like
is.
how, like
How did you not win first
how,
place? Is the first thing I'm gonna say. But
like
you know, and I'm sorry. It sounds, guys, everybody in the audience. It's not. I'm like I said before the show. I'm not kissing ass because I don't understand how much I look up to Tim, and especially his Jesta. His Jesta is stupid good. Like it's like how.
Yeah.
Just like how he said it, you know, how did Chris said it? How?
Yeah, no, the Jesta was just a big mistake, honestly, when it comes down to brass tacks. This was never meant for GBWC. I didn't ever intend to enter this in GBWC ever. Even after I finished it, I was just like, no, this isn't GBWC. Come on, what are you talking about? So this build started as kind of a palette cleanser, so to speak, right? I was working on a GM Sniper 2 that I was modifying to a GM Spartan, and that is still in a box over here sitting on the shelf,
rest in
waiting
peace.
to be finished. Yeah, waiting to be
Resurrected, yeah, resurrected.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest in
But,
peace.
yeah, but so I just was just like getting frustrated with it, and I was losing complete lack. I had lack of focus, and I just wasn't having fun, working on that particular build. So I'm looking around my backlog, and I'm like, the Jest is just really mad cool. Like, let me just go and snap it up and just have fun with this, right? And then that's kind of right around the time we were doing classes really heavily and stuff like that. Me and Justin, Justinius builds, and so I figured I'm like, I could do a class on like simple details. Like, I could take this and just add little simple details and show people how to, just very, very easily, modify their particular model with just simple stuff and, knock it out of the park. So that was full intent on what this was going to be, right? And then I don't know how one thing just led to another. We were streaming this whole thing, and it just really just grew legs and ran. The whole kit is pretty much just, again, simple detailed. There's nothing really with the core kit that's heavily modified. There's stuff that's added on and things like that, but other than the backpack and the parachutes, there's not much that's really kind of scratch built to a great extent on the core unit itself. So yeah, this thing, like I said, was just kind of a mistake, so to speak. But I had different plans for GBWC that year, and they didn't come out in time, obviously. And so entered this last year. I was just like, I had no pressure. I was just like, this is my backup.
Put in this Jesta.
I'm just gonna let it drop.
It's okay, man. It's whatever.
No, but I had it in the backlog, and I'm like,
yeah.
You know what? If I don't get this done, then there's no pressure because the Jest is here. I can enter that, and whatever happens, happens. Like, I wasn't even thinking that it would go, to Japan or anything. Honestly, I was just like blown away by it because it's way more simple. At least the core of it is way more simple than, say, the Aussie or say the Hummingbird or shit. Even the Blue Destiny. It's way more simple than that. But I think that's where the beauty lies, is the simplicity
details,
of it.
in the details.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how Bob Ross would say, it's a happy mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
I remember seeing this, and I remember going on your website and seeing your work in progress pictures, which we have right here. We can see the chopper in the background on slide number 35, which is, according to you, one of the most important tools in your toolbox, right?
Yeah, man.
It's in your arsenal. There it is, the chopper, the legendary chopper. With everybody who watches the stream, like I said, watch the stream, guys. His stream has so much information. Like, he really does teach. He's a great teacher. I can vouch for that. A lot of the things, I wish I could do those things. I do hope to get those tools one day. But the chopper, according to him, is one of the best tools that he has. But over here on slide number 36, we have a work in progress picture of the Jester where you're adding the block plates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you took that picture like that, like the documentation.
Yeah, a lot of people focus on the back a lot, especially in the work in progress shots.
Yeah,
I really like this, and I wanted to take a moment and ask you just a little, if you could just give us a little bit of insight on how you went about working on the plot plate, starting from 36 to like around slide number 40 and 41. Like, what was your philosophy when it comes to working with this? Right, you did mention a little bit how this was supposed to be meant to talk about and teach people what you can do with small details, right?
Yeah.
But I do see that one of the things Chris mentioned yesterday, he's like, man, he worked on the ammo, on the mag, right?
Yeah.
Because I know for the Jesta, my one complaint is that those damn default ammo mags keep falling off.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So what exactly was your philosophy? How did you go about scratch building all of this?
So the thing with the box mag, I wanted a bit of a beefier look to the rifle. So the little standard mag was just a little wimpy in my opinion. So yeah, we took the fourth mag that obviously is on the rifle full time, and chopped that down, formed the plastic around that to form the box shape and everything, and just detailed that up really. I mean, it was actually a lot more simple than it sounds, because the connection is still the same. It's just the same ammo mag that was there originally. It's just got plastic sheet around it.
Enclosure.
You put a lot of sauce on it.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of sauce.
There's spice on that thing. Yeah. But yeah, and then I did
But
the
it
same.
didn't make a yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, but just adding like one tiny detail just to bulk it up just a little bit, and adding the handle itself, really makes the whole world different.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Literally, I thought it was like scratch build.
Right.
I thought it was a scratch build, like a rifle, like a scratch.
No, I mean it's other than the mag and the grip on the front, it's stock. It's 100% stock. There's a little modification here and there, but other than that, it's just normal. Yeah.
Explain to me this gun, because I saw you do this gun maybe a week ago on Instagram, or 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know. I saw this gun and it completely blew me away. How you I don't know, man.
The one with the wire, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this one's awesome.
Was it slide 40 you talking about?
Yes, sir.
Slide 40, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the this is the current project that we're working on right now. This is my GBWC 2021 build. And the basis for the build is just kind of a remix of classic. So what we're doing is it was supposed to be the 40th anniversary of Gunpla this year. So I was going old school traditional Char versus Amuro.
Yes.
So the build just before this was a high mobility Zaku that we completely just tricked out, and double shoulder shields, missile pods, this big spear style heat hawk, the whole 9 yards. We went crazy on it. And so I had a different build in mind, but then going to Japan and seeing the winners and everything, I saw the pattern emerge of what the Japanese judges are looking for. They're looking for more traditional and positive vibes, kind of hope, dreams, growth, etc. But then that traditional thing, with the heart of Gunpla, so to speak, the Char and Amuro deal and all that. So when I came back, I'm thinking all right, so my current project will be totally badass, but it's not going to score well in Japan. So I just completely, at that point, pulled a 180 and just completely changed directions at that point. I had finished the Zaku, so I was just like, okay, well, I already got that in the bank. What can I add to this to kind of make the Japanese judges take notice, right? So I'm thinking what if that was Char Zaku, and I could give Amuro kind of the same remix, right? So I'm thinking what would be a completely badass base for an RX-78? So I chose a Jesta, right? So basically what I'm doing is taking a Jesta and modifying it into my own personal vision of an RX-78. So what you see on screen, the gun, that's my vision of the more updated, remixed Gundam beam rifle. So it's got callbacks to the original beam rifle. The scope, the little nub on the back end.
I love the
The
little handle
barrel.
on the bottom or the little piece on the bottom. Like, I just
Like
love
that,
that.
like the
the little
extra
cannon.
piece.
Yeah,
The extra
I just
piece,
love that
yeah.
little bottom piece on the handle. Like, I love that.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. I took
Yeah.
inspiration from that from the Mark II. The
Ah.
Mark II's rifle has that little kind of thing on the bottom there, and I
It gives
always
you that
dug
grip.
that.
Yeah, it gives you that good grip.
Yeah. So we incorporated that. We incorporated the light or scope or whatever that thing is on the side. The front barrel and all that there is reminiscent from the original beam rifle. But then obviously, as you can see, we used the Jesta rifle as a base because I wanted the nice mix of both, right? The top scope is from the Master Grade Origin new beam rifle, and then the banana mag there is from the shoulder cannon from the Master Grade Origin Gundam as well. And kind of my direction on this is that the Gundam was a prototype, so we wanted to, I wanted to make all of this look kind of piecemeal together almost. So with the bolted on cannon on this, kind of mounted on the bottom and off to the side, the exposed wires, the reinforcement little triangles right there around the side scope and all that, kind of pulls off that look.
It's amazing, bro.
It's kind of piecemeal together. So that's what we're trying to carry through the rest of it. But yeah, so Shar and Amuro are going to be getting down when this thing is done. So that's basically what you're seeing.
Can't wait.
That is awesome.
Me too. Me too.
That is awesome.
And so going back to the airdrop Jesta on slide number 42,
Yes.
you can see your ability to create these beautiful scenes, this realism that is sometimes missing from newer Gundams. Just that's why I love the GM so much, and I've talked about it many times over. I love the GMs because they're more real to me. Just like, for example, 08 MS Team, right? The whole what's it called? The Vietnam of Gundam, right? This whole, and then you have this parachute. No boosters, no nothing. Just the dropping down. And you scratch build all of this, right? The parachutes and everything.
Yeah, the parachutes were scratch built. The entire base, what you see there, is scratch built. It actually does have a jump pack on the back, and like you can see the little orange kind of little nubs on the top there. That is actually two boosters on the jump pack, and that was scratch built too. So yeah, all this was created kind of out of thin air, so to speak. But you take a lot of inspiration from 8th MS Team that had parachuting Gundams and stuff like that. So I actually went way deep down another rabbit hole on this one, because I actually took the gross weight of the fully kitted out Jesta in real world tonnage and cross-referenced that with the heaviest drop parachute that the Army has, for mil-spec standards, and the equation came out to like 41 parachutes it would take to drop this thing without any booster help. So I was just like, yeah, I can't fit 41 parachutes in there. That's not going to happen. So I had to take some artistic license and only put 3 in. So,
but that looks fine, because even just putting one would really break the realism. Putting 3 really gives it that effect of how heavy this thing is, right? Because the Jesta itself, I think, is like, I don't remember how many tons it is. We did an episode on this, but it is very heavy, right? At the end of the day, it's Gundam.
It's stupid heavy.
Walking tank.
This is amazing. This is amazing, Tim. I don't know if you guys have any questions for him regarding his airdrop Jesta over here.
How long did it take you just to build the dial part of it?
That's a great question. The base honestly didn't take too long. That's MDF core with plastic sheet laminated on top and then painted and detailed and everything. It probably took a few months on that because I was going to have it finished for GBWC 20. I wanted to finish it for GBWC 2018, but didn't get it done in time. So the base was actually all just a flat gray, which it looked terrible. So then I came back in the studio and stripped that all down and then plated it up with different strips and everything to create the frames that frame out the sky motif around it and everything. And so yeah, probably a few months.
So much detail.
A few months isn't long enough.
Hey, man.
Dude.
So guys, just to you guys can watch Tim on his channel, like I said, on YouTube. He will be live later on what is it, Mechanism again. He'll be there.
Yep.
In like literally like 45 minutes. So we're gonna try to speed this up along so he can have time to kind of cool off and then go right into his show. Again,
he has a pregame.
That's thank you very much for all the attention and for answering all the questions and sharing with us this experience of yours, this journey. Guys, like I said, go visit his website, go visit his YouTube, his Instagram, go follow whatever we do nowadays. And make sure to check out Mecha. What is it?
Go buy some decals.
Go buy some decals because water slides is the way to go all the time. Stop using stickers, okay? And that's about it, right? So thank you very much. We're going to go right into the competition for Featured Build of the Week for this month of May, where we are giving away the RG New Gundam. All right? So we got some nice submissions this week. So guys, we're going to try to speed this up a little bit. So if you guys are here looking at your submissions, we're sorry if we're not going to take like a million years talking about them like we normally do. But anyway, here we go.
You get what you get today.
All right. All right. So as usual, contestant number 1 is by Giovanni Amiglio, and this is his Barbatos Lupus Rex build. And then as we scroll down, we can see more pictures, more details of it. So Tim and all of the guys at the panels, we did the judging on this. So, but first, I would like to know, what does Tim feels? What does he think about this? Like Tim, what do you think about the build itself?
This is the Barbatos?
Yes.
Yeah, Barbatos Lupus Rex.
Yeah, the Lupus Rex.
Yeah, I like the big V fin. Man, that's a good look. With this, I love the gray shoulders. It gives me that kind of American football linebacker feel. And I don't know, I always have a soft spot in my heart for that. So those are probably some of my favorite portions of this particular build. I love the bulkiness of it. Yeah.
Where's the beef?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Beef.
Yeah,
it
looks
nice.
nice.
America. Oh.
It's a nice build. I think I would have liked to see just a little bit more detail on it, but I do think it's nice. The V-fin, when it's done like that, like Tim said, it just gives it another oomph. I don't know that oomph factor of it. You kind of look straight into the head. It looks demonic, right? Barbatos is a demon.
Yep.
Right. So it works. It works. It just works, right? So anyway, let's go on to contestant number 2.
Contestant number 2 is from Gundam Model Builders. Submission by Donovan. He's Stargazer resin kit built on MG Force Impel frame. So this is super creative, I'd say. It's a resin kit built on a normal MG kit, which is not even a Stargazer kit. And then I think he did pretty amazing with the paint job. This is super creative, I would say. And to come up with the evil theme to it, that is I've never seen that before. I'm not sure about you guys. You guys seen anything like this?
It reminds me a little bit of Transformers, but what I would have done is something different to the back portion. It seems a little too bland.
You should have throw the orange in there in the details.
Yeah, it's just too bland. It kind of looks just snapped on right there, the back part, like as I'm talking about. But the rest of the kit has some nice details on it. I don't know what you would like to add on this, Tim.
I like the color combination. The grays and oranges for me is always very classical in terms of prototype, type of color scheme. The one critique that I would have on this is more along the lines of presentation. it's a very, very kind of static pose. And it's more like a soldier pose, like this.
Yeah.
What I would have liked to seen is, even if you're just standing there, maybe just a little bit of more of a kind of a relaxed pose. Maybe the arms exaggerated out to the side a little bit.
Yep.
The feet pointed
Like
a little bit more out, something like
the
that.
heroic pose.
Yeah.
The heroic pose,
Yeah.
or the angry pose,
Have
or
the chest
the
out
ready
a
to
little
fight
bit.
pose.
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, the chest out and the face down, like
I hate to down. Yeah.
Yeah. Even that
Gotta love
simplistic, just that simplistic pose gives the whole presentation a little bit more gravitas. And it just accentuates everything at that point. So
I love
that would be my one critique on this.
Very nice.
All right.
Very nice.
Great tip. All right, let's move on to contestant number 3. This is by Gunpla for fun. It's Sinanjustein, which is one of Tim's favorite, right? So what he did with this is, this is. Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my.
I got nothing to say about. Well, this Sinanjustein itself, probably what I really like is about the weathering itself, but not so much because it had like we said earlier about weathering. It's all about being logical. It's all about being real, applied in the real world situation, and all that. So I really do think that the shoulders part, it has a little bit too much of weathering, I would say. Right, that would be like a rookie mistake, like to be the weathering itself to be a little bit too uniform.
Yeah.
Right, like what you said earlier. Right?
I mean,
But in terms of,
yeah, no, I mean it's clear that he did a lot of dry brushing. And it's more at this point it's more kind of edge highlighting. It's kind of gone to that realm of edge highlighting rather than dry brushing. And like you said, it's very uniform and everything. And you have to be careful, especially with this color combination. It looks like black and red, right? And that color combination is dangerous because that's kind of a very rookie color combination. Everybody always thinks, oh, black and red, right? It's been way overdone. And one thing that I always preach with the color black is don't use the color black. Because if you look at something that is painted black in the real world, like a stealth bomber or something like that, yeah, if you look at it in the daylight, it doesn't come off as black. If you were to color pick that on Photoshop or something, it would be a gray. So same thing, same thing with these models. If you want a black, paint it dark gray. Trust me, it will look black, but then it'll still be light enough to where you can weather and you can panel line and all your decals are just going to pop. And just save the black color for other things. Save it for your dioramas, save it for your bases, save it for an artistic build. But if you're going to do something along the lines of more realistic, more to scale, use dark gray.
Yeah, and another thing I told Chris when we were looking at this earlier, one of the things my own critique on this is the background that you chose specifically to take the pictures on. I feel that the color that you use for the kit really gets lost in that background. Maybe you could have chose white. I mean, white in this case would have worked so much better, I feel, to pop the whole kit in itself. You posted and great, but then there's that blue background that's just kind of stealing a little bit of the blue from the main this one. So that's my part. That's what I would like to say about that. But overall,
can I say,
very good job.
Can I say something? I mean, the way the pictures were posed and how that was taken reminds me of like an album cover for Backstreet Boys.
Oh, with the little stand.
Oh, he's like looking back.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the way looking back, it's like I want it that way, I want it that way.
Oh God,
I want it that way.
It's really good. I mean, it's good, but man, Tim, you hit it right in the head with the black. Really take that into consideration. And obviously, you can always you guys get better. So very good work there. We got contestant number 4, which is from Kuroda Paint Stuff. Our man, Kuroda Paint Stuff.
Yeah, he won our first our first contest.
Yeah,
Right.
Kuroda Paint Stuff is one of our regulars here, our regular contestant here. He did submitted quite a few, and then he did one the first month. Again, But then again, I was wondering, how did he do that on the snake patterns? I mean, Tim, do you have any idea? Any insights on how did he do that?
Yeah, some sort of like a lace pattern or something like that.
You just spray over it, right?
Or like yeah. So basically, you lay down your black or your dark gray or whatever your darker color there, and then you wrap it around with and it could be like nylons or something like that, right? Negligee. But
How you
wrap it
doing?
around. Yeah, hey, whatever works, right? I need your underwear. Don't ask for what. No, just trust me. Anything. Don't ask for it. No. But for real, I mean, those are patterns that that you can definitely use.
Exactly.
And I've seen people do some crazy stuff. But yeah, you just wrap that around there, spray your top layer on there, and pull that off, and that's the pattern you got. The world champion from 2018, the Exia, the one where he's in that tunnel and it's like a force.
That thing is so awesome.
Yeah.
That's what he did to get that carbon fiber look on his. He wrapped it in nylon, and he just airbrushed over that, and that's how he got his carbon fiber look on the paint.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
nice.
It's stupid simple. It's stupid simple, but it looks amazing. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But Kuroda, very good work. Now he does use the black and red, so
yeah.
But this time it's more red than black.
Yeah.
It's more red. But
And
the
it's
only thing if you're like, sorry.
No, I was gonna say it's a little bit more unique than just alternating colors in shapes and stuff, right? By the looks of it, it looks like a matte style metallic, which you don't see a lot, which I absolutely love.
I love it too.
So that's a refreshing take on the black and red kind of combination. And
it's all super glossy.
Yeah, well, and plus this particular model, that's the base color of it anyway, is black and red. So it's expected at this point. For like the Sinanju that we saw earlier, that's not the expected color combination. So that's kind of where it gets a little, little weird.
Yeah.
So, I see.
Yeah.
One of those things.
But Kuroda, like always, very good work. Man.
Yeah, good work, man.
And
Kuroda always
good
stuff.
We're not giving enough credit to the background. Obviously, we've told you guys, if you guys send in a diorama, we don't really pay attention to the diorama because it'll be unfair to everybody else who doesn't bring a diorama into the competition. But that looks amazing. It does look like it's floating in space. That is really great work, man. I just wanted to put that out there. But our next contestant is our great friend, Nico Tejeda, skill modeler. Right, his build is the perfect great strike. There's the PG. All right, guys.
Yep, that's PG. So in his description, no airbrush, spray can only, hand painted details, stuff like that. Clean build, literally clean build, with a bit of spin off of the original color. So I don't know, Jess.
I like it a lot. I feel. I mean, I've always been a fan of Nico's work because it's very simple. I want to say. Plus the spray can. Always, when we first had him on the show and he talked about how he only uses spray cans, it really kind of
mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing to me because getting good, I mean, it might not be super difficult. I don't know. Just that using spray cans, I've always heard people say, use airbrush, use airbrush, use airbrush, use airbrush. But use spray cans and you can get this out. This is amazing. I like the color in itself. Personally, I do like the bland monochrome kind of thing that he does all the time. I really like it. I feel like a lot of people don't really go for that. They kind of go for a little more punchy colors and all of that stuff.
They went to Ferrari.
It's easy on my eyes. I can look at it for a while. I don't know what you think about it, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've seen Nico's work up close, and it's great. This one here is just on par with his other works here. He's got a very unique kind of paint scheme that he always does. Like the faceplate is always like a gray or a darker color than the rest of the head, which is just it's a unique look, right? And I give him a hard time, and he knows that about it. But it's his signature thing now, right? Like when you see a kit like this, or at least if I see a kit like this, I'm like, yo, that's Nico's. That nobody else does that, right? So that's a unique thing. That's a stylistic, unique thing, and that's his calling card. Which, I mean, you can't not notice that. My only critique on this is that he didn't use Mecha decals.
Oh, burn!
No. I mean, this is a great build. This is a great build, top to bottom. No lie.
5-point deduction.
Yeah.
5 points deduction.
Just, no, he does have. That's what I like about Nico. Like I said, it's just the fact that he has his own signature style. You immediately look at something and you immediately recognize the fact that it's him. And I've never noticed it until you said it.
Style's
You
everything.
have an amazing line for this. It's the helmet.
Yeah.
Immediately you notice it just right from over here. Even if like what is on slide number 88, the left picture, you immediately look at that and you just know it's him. You know it's him.
Oh yeah.
So use Mecha decals next time, man. Come on.
I know, right? What's wrong?
Game, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. Damn it, Nico.
Get that wholesale.
All right. So
All right.
now,
Well, let's get into scores.
let's get into the scores. So contestant number 1, Giovanni Ameglio, he got a 41.225. Very good work. That is very nice, actually. So we go on to 92. Contestant number 2, we have Gundam Model Builders. This one got a 40.75. You know, not a bad score at all out of 50 overall. We have contestant number 3.
Way too nice.
Yeah, the cinematics is on the chat. He's been watching since the beginning. This is his build. 40.375. Really take into account that you got a world champion like Tim really giving you advice on the colors and how to work on certain things. Really take that in. You know, it's not every day that you get it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, I am brutal when it comes to scoring. So
No, he is.
You're a champion and you're 20 years deep, so your experience is unmatched.
It's justified. You saw it. You know, the moment you look at the Airdrop Jesta, it's justified. Okay, it's justified. So
take it, and get better.
Contestant number 4, we got obviously our boy Kuroda. He got 44.275. Really nice. And number 95, you know, we got contestant number 5, we got Nicholas Tejada, who got a 45.025. And we have our champion, Tim, if you could do the honors.
Mr. New World Gunpla, Mr. Nico Tejada.
Nicholas Tejada.
What's up, New World? New World.
Congratulations.
New
World.
You got it, man.
West Coast, baby.
I had to give Nico a shout out because for those of you that don't know, it's kind of a private thing between me and Nico. We were yelling at in a drunken state in the middle of Tokyo Street here at GBWC last year. So me and him are New World Gunpla. So there you go.
Very nice, very nice. No, thank you very much, guys, all for entering. You know, this is the end part of our show. We just we want to thank Tim again, all of us on the panel, honestly.
Yeah,
thank you very much
you.
for
it's an honor.
You are an idol to us. It's really awesome to be able to talk to your heroes. You know, it's kind of like that moment.
We're spoiled, man. We're so spoiled. That's how I feel. I just feel like I'm just spoiled.
Come on now.
I just
Nico is in the live chat saying, "That's how we do it in the new world."
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Oh man, I love Nico, man. He's the best.
Remember, guys. Remember that we have our Discord server up and running. It's a GTS Gunpla Talk Show. I've been posting the link on the chat a million times over during the over here during the the show. We're gonna post up the link on our Instagram later on, and you guys can chat with us there. We have all of our guests on there and everything. We really hope to build a community there with you guys, and we really hope that you enjoyed the show as much as we did tonight. It was really fun, really insightful. Really, I feel like I'm in cloud 9 right now. And I feel like I need to build. I need to just end this.
I leveled just by talking to you, Tim.
Give me that information. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to say to Tim, or Tim, you have anything else to say. Remember, check out his YouTube channel, his website. Go check out Mecha Decals.
Yep.
One thing to keep in mind, guys, is like, yes, I've been doing this for 20 years, right? So what I tell everybody whenever they, first come into kind of the community, so to speak, right? You can't fairly judge yours to mine because I have a 20-year head start on most of you. So trust me, you can do whatever I can do just with time and experience and practice. Chances are you'll probably get there way faster than 20 years. Trust me. So just keep at it and just go build something cool, man. You got this.
I remember yesterday we were talking. You said something about if you cut something, you can always like glue it back together or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you say that
So,
again for everybody?
Don't be afraid to break it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So like we kind of touched on fear a little bit before, right? And that's one of the big things. You know, you got this kit and you don't want to mess it up or you don't want to cut into it or whatever. But this is plastic. They make plastic glue. You can fix whatever it is most of the time that you break. Unless you shatter it into a million different little pieces, chances are it's fixable. And if it's not fixable, well, it's not a one of a kind. You can go buy another kit, right? Even if it's an expensive kit. And honestly, you don't want to do that. I never want to do that. But never be afraid to just kind of jump into the deep end, right? And that's all it is. That's all it comes down to. If you break it, chances are you can fix it, or at least you know somebody that knows how to fix it, right? There's always help out.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you very much for that, Tim. Thank you guys for watching. And well,
yeah, again,
about it.
yeah. Thank you, Tim, and everybody. Just keep on building on. Have a great night.
Oh yeah, thank you guys.
See you guys.